So, like you said, operational excellence could very well be a result of the cuts from the state, and right now the UC is facing a $500 million cut from the state, which could double if Governor Brown's tax extensions don't go through. So how would you work with students and administrators specifically to alleviate some financial strains felt on the Berkeley campus, or to make the student voice heard more, especially because the Berkeley campus is expected to absorb about $70 to $80 million of that cut?
Yeah. I mean, again, I think it's important for all of the executive offices to work with our EADP and really enhance efforts there. We've done, I feel like the Office of the External Affairs has gotten, less away from that. But I think whoever our External Affairs Vice President will work more on that, and I plan on helping them because ultimately, as the president, we would be speaking on behalf of students, and I think it's important for me to do that. I think it's important for us to get students there. I have done things this year. I wrote a bill with Senator Joey Friedman on opposing the cuts that Jerry Brown proposed a couple days after he got into office, and we're working on different things like sending letters to the governor, to the legislator, really making sure that they do not cut our public education. And I think it's also important to really pressure the chancellor and UC officials to take a public stand against the budget cuts, because we've seen, just in the last 2 years alone, almost 40% of our budgets of fee increases, and that's where our fees are increasing year after year, but our services are reducing as a result of things like operational excellence and other budget cuts. So I think it's really important to make sure that we are engaging with state officials so that they hear our voice loud and clear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's important to engage with state officials on sort of this 101 legislative process, but I think that we also need to be putting pressure on them both from the outside and the inside. So doing things like writing letters, talking to them, those, calling, having letter writing campaigns on the campus, those are important, but I also think we need to actually be there, like at the Capitol in large numbers, whoever can come, that the ASUC can fund buses to go to Sacramento and really not just get our voices heard within the legislative body, but outside in the general public. And also, I think it's really important for us I think this is an issue where we can really see that we all have a collective interest as students. We have a collective interest as students on this campus and also extended beyond this campus, where the cuts that we're experiencing, the CSUs are also experiencing, the high schools are experiencing, the community colleges, even to the point where community colleges may have to start doing an admission system, meaning that there's going to be a certain number of people who aren't going to have any access to education whatsoever, and that we need to be unified here on the campus against this, but also reaching out to those other institutions and making this a state public dialogue, not just a dialogue that's happening behind closed doors.
Okay, so you mentioned the need to go out to Sacramento and really be there at the Capitol. I guess even though the UC continues to face more cuts, student participation in protests and demonstration has appeared to be decreasing over the last year, especially after seeing the turnout on March 2nd. How would you motivate students to go out there and be present?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'll just jump into that. So I was really frustrated that I felt the first year I was here, when I transferred as a junior, that there was a really, that there was a movement and that you were able to sort of be involved in it. And it was effective. We got money returned to the school that year. Schwarzenegger returned money into our budget. And then the next year, it's sort of, our fees went up again. and it sort of petered out. And in the protests that I've been in, what I felt is a lot of frustration, a lot of feeling like it's not going to make any difference or we're not going to win, a lot of feeling like we don't really know what to do next, and a lot of just clashing opinions on even how to conduct these protests. So what I want to do is sort of reach out to the student body as a whole, and like I said, sort of get like I would think like we would need a monthly forum, public forum with the students for discussing how we're going to address this and actually come up with a cohesive strategy, so that if you know there's going to be a protest on this day, right? And if you can make it, you come to that protest. But if you can't, you know that there's going to be another event happening the next week that you can come to. There's going to be, you know, a teach-in happening somewhere. And then the next week there's going to be, you know, a letter writing campaign. And then the next week there's going to be, we're going to go into Sacramento, so that you have an idea that if this one protest doesn't come out awesome or successful, that's okay, because this is going to be a continuous effort that you're going to be informed about. Because I also feel when I've gone to the protests, I've been like, all right, well, what's really happening? I'm here, you know, I'm sitting on the seats of Wheeler, there's, you know, there's police and there's a lot of stuff happening, but I don't really know entirely what's going on. And so I think that with the ASUC being an organizer, being the organizing force for this, that we have a lot more opportunity to be really public about it. Like, we're the representatives of the student body. Like, we've gotten together with the student body. Everyone who's there, we figured out a plan, and then we're going to get together at the end of the month and we're going to evaluate it, and we're going to keep coming up with more strategies.
Yeah, I think a lot of what's going on is that there, excuse me, there's a lot going on. And, you know, there's a lot of things that we have to deal with on multiple levels. And I think students are really trying to figure out how to go about handling these issues in the most productive manner. And, you know, I'm not sure what's going on with you know, why the protests are decreasing. I think one reason might be, you know, might be the fact that protests seem dangerous at this point. You know, we saw it on March 2nd. I was actually there, you know, watching everything happen, and we saw a lot of riot police come out and pepper spray. You know, that was immediately displayed on. Dispersed onto students. So different things like that. I think folks are scared of, you know, being involved in protests. That being said, I do think we have to work with our UCPD to, you know, make sure that peaceful protests remain that way. But at the same time, I also think that there are other ways to get involved. You don't necessarily have to protest, but, you know, we talked about letter writing campaigns. We talked about lobbying in Sacramento, lobbying, you know, even our city officials. There's different ways for students to get involved, and we should really find a way to encourage students to get involved in any way that they can. And we have to publicize what our motives are and what our goals are. So I guess right now it would be to prevent the cut of $500 million or $1 billion, and to really publicize what comes out of it and next steps. So yeah, I think there's plenty of ways. Protesting works, and other ways work as well, and we really need to get that out to the student body.